joined us. Thank you all very much for coming today. This is the second instalment of our 3-part webinar. So if you didn't come along to the first sessions, it doesn't really matter. They all work as standalone as well. And it kind of looks like now with business and all the localized lockdowns that things are kind of getting traditional business that we know it are just kind of getting further in the past. So what we're going to focus on today is understanding when to outsource. Now, the main theme of it is going to be around marketing. However, the core elements can easily be transferred to the other industries and services when looking to outsource. It's just kind of some fundamentals for you. So first of all, let's do budgets. So did you know that 1 in 3 people are watching videos online rather than on television? So meaning that businesses should really start looking at investing their budgets in things such as YouTube, and I also put in TikTok there as well, and then growing out in these communities. As the momentum grows, you can then tailor the content to speak directly to those followers, giving them kind of a more personalized experience. Oh my God, I've lost my train of thought now. So video is a really good way to do this. And if you marry this with a focus of efforts on other social platforms that are entirely free, it can help. It just helps build that out. And boosting these posts with cap daily PPC spend can also be a great way to kind of maximize and make the most out of your budgets if you've got smaller ones at the moment. And then also, in terms of digital, businesses can pay a small upfront cost on digital avenues and see a great return on investment. So, for instance, investing in email marketing can have a 122% return on investment, or for every £2 you generate, for every £1 spent on Google Ads. So it's quite a good initial investment to get a good return on what you're spending. The question is, though, do you have the in-house time and resources to implement successful campaigns, especially when there's been a lot of pent-up demand for marketing activity? Given that 62% of businesses said they withheld marketing budget in Q2 and are looking to spend it as soon as possible, which I can say is definitely happening at the moment. So how should the spend then be allocated? I don't think anyone knows or can even predict right now how long the road to the economic recovery is going to be, or any kind of other level of normality. But what is certain is that business can't afford to become complacent or rely on their past achievements, plans, and processes. Just throw them all out the window. You've got to have a few different options at the moment, and these plans have got to be agile, fluid, and constantly address the fast-paced changing markets. So quite often I've seen businesses, and a few of us here actually have seen this as well, just throwing money at tactics and kind of just hoping they stick. It's a really broad brush approach, and it's really hard to measure, let alone trying to see your return on investment from it. So having a clear marketing plan is essential at the best of times, but having a clear one that's flexible can help kind of keep your customers on side. They feel listened to, and like their business pain points are being well addressed without affecting business continuity. So personalization is key, even more so now where the current months have seen more human elements shine through in business. The lines between work and personal have accelerated in the blurring, and all brands need to adapt to is their like tone of voice in order to be seen as relatable. So staying focused on refining your messaging for smaller target audiences that are more likely to convert are going to be more cost effective for you, rather than casting that big wide net that's just not going to impact your sales. This way, the smaller budgets can be just as effective, but only if you're making the use of the data available to you and keeping it targeted, refined and personalized. But essentially, you've got to stay true to your core values, which we'll talk about again in a minute. Now, short and long-term planning. As I've touched on, I'm sure everyone can relate that plans seem to be changing constantly in 2020. Things are going wrong. Businesses as well as individuals need to be quick to adapt and continue driving forward. So agile short to medium marketing strategies in place will allow businesses to adapt to external situations quickly and effectively, whether this is through tweaking the messaging or adjusting the channels that you use to reach your audiences. This could look like anything from a 3-month plan, and that could be transitioning from traditional methods through to the digital methods. Now, your longer term thinking should be about staying true to the business core values, not necessarily the shape of the strategy. For businesses, the long-term strategy is about knowing who they are, what they stand for, and what benefits they can bring to their customers. And this shouldn't change, but it should all feed into those shorter planning sessions. I've just realised that I forgot to add my image in, so please ignore this slide. But making use of digital avenues you have at your fingertips and utilising marketing strategies are going to be pivotal to your success. To steer marketing strategies in the right direction, ensure budgets are being allocated effectively and continuously to deliver quality content. Many companies may want to consider outsourcing the digital marketing with a team of specialists on board to kind of give them best practice, different channels, core messaging, all that kind of stuff. It's going to help you build the momentum, and it also means as businesses you can focus your attentions at the strategy level and continue running the business, engaging with your existing customers to ensure retention levels and onboard those all important new clients effectively. So where do we start? So we're going to look at next. I always would say, let's start at what does success look like to you? It's one of my favourite questions to ask people. So let's look at the top level and then work it down. So let's say you have 1,000 visitors to your website each month and 50% of these take an online trial. And then 25% of that 50% then sign up to your service. That's 250 sales each month, but you have a goal of 500. So success will look like achieving that 500 a month, which then can easily be measured with the data. So my next one is, what about if success for you is being known as the best cafe in the local area? You have TripAdvisor, but how are you going to measure your brand's influence within the local area? It could be to decrease your cost per acquisition. There's a few different tactics you could do there. Or success for you could be retaining clients for longer. We all know that it costs less to maintain clients than find new one, and marketing communications can support that as well. Building a lifestyle brand might also be what success might look like to you. Now, I thought this was an interesting one to kind of say, because Apple is definitely a lifetime brand, but at what point did they become that lifestyle brand? So you kind of need some tangible goals as well to measure it with. But what we can do here to kind of reach increasing sales, increasing brand awareness, increasing the longevity of your clients, and decreasing how much it costs you to acquire your clients, if we get different marketing KPIs, all of what we can do then is quantify our efforts, and then all focusing on one common goal to then achieve the success. So for me, this is quite an important internal question to ask yourself and the wider team. What is their understanding of marketing, and do they have previous knowledge or experience? This can really vary. So for instance, you may understand the importance of marketing and do marketing activity, but not necessarily understand how to track success or understand the data it provides. So ask yourself these questions and then be honest with yourself too. You can't be an expert in everything. It might be something you've experienced or have a little interest in, but it might be something that you're really interested in and want to be good at. But ultimately, what is going to be best for your business? So what I would do is I would personally suggest forming a mind map against each question, and then diving deeper into your knowledge, the knowledge of the team, and where you are as a company. So let's say the first one then. You need to have a marketing strategy, but you're not following it, or it's outdated or unachievable. So ask yourself, why is that? And then kind of jot out on your mind map what those are. Second question then, you may, do you know how to communicate with your customers? You may realise that you're only communicating with customers on a one-to-one basis rather than sending out any external communications. Is it then a case of filtering down from there? This is the starting point for understanding where your pain points are and any gaps in your knowledge and current plans. I used this in my last presentation as well, but without good foundations, your marketing efforts are mostly going to be misguided and expensive. this also kind of forms what you're doing when you're outsourcing as well. You've got to think of it as you're doing all of these parts to have a good foundation to then go and outsource something for you, or recognizing that you can do something in-house. And you can build your strategy on from what we've kind of that internal look at your business as well. So the outsourcing tick list. I know we've dived a little bit into your marketing knowledge, but to take steps on finding the best route for outsourcing, or if outsourcing is the best option, we need to look at the existing capabilities within the business first. So they're all going to be relative to the previous information we've penned out already. So what we need to know then is knowledge. Do we have enough knowledge to do this ourselves? Time. Do we have enough time to plan, execute, and monitor our activity? Do we have someone in-house that can provide consistent on-messaging copy and produce brand images? Do we have enough experience to execute these effectively and see a return on investment? And do we know the technology we need? Do we have it? Can we afford it? Is it something we want to afford? So there is loads of technology. I thought it was important to kind of bring this up to help you stay on top of marketing efforts and provide data to make those informed decisions. So you've got Google Analytics and Google Search Console. They're free, provided the knowledge is there to use them effectively and extract the data you need. Plus, make sense of it as well. I remember the first time looking at Google Analytics, long time ago now, and just bamboozled by it. So as you and your team gets busier, the need for more tools starts to grow as well. So you've got tools such as Hootsuite or SEMrush to stay on top of your social posting, or MailChimp and Digital to send out your email campaigns. We all know that the cost of all of these different little things add up each month, especially the more and more that you use. So you've got to take that into account when you're looking at yourself internally. And if it is something you guys can afford. Not to mention also like being able to utilize them and use them efficiently. There's no point in wasting the money on the tool that you're not making the most of as well. The next part is timeline. Now, I'm not talking about kind of the day-to-day timings when you're going to schedule. It's more like a realistic view of when you'd like your marketing activities to start. So who within your organizations needs to be involved? For instance, if you know that if you get, it's getting tongue-tied now, it's hard to get time with other people within your business who are all making the decisions. Is it hard for you to get that time internally to make those purchase decisions? Is it not a quick process? Can you allocate a timeline to do this? Having that clear project timeline is going to help you stay on track, especially if you're launching a new product or service. I find it's a lot easier to work backwards, allowing for timings. And then if it's too soon, I need to know I can push back, say, the launch of a product or the launch of a website by a couple of weeks or months. That's what I actually did with these webinars. I initially wanted them all done in October, but looking at the timeline and resources, that's why they've been pushed back to mid-October through to early November. And always just allow for extra time, always. You never want to get caught out. So finding the right partner. What's going to be the best solution for us to do this? Again, budgets, elephant in the room, on everybody's mind, but nobody likes talking about them. There's two different ways I would suggest going, two different ways, potentially three different ways of how I would suggest looking at this. You've got good old research, so take a look around at providers, services, what's kind of an average, what's the average of the services, and then kind of take a realistic budget from that. The old age of getting 3 Cokes and going somewhere in the middle still applies as well, definitely still applies. And also LinkedIn is a fantastic source of gathering information. So you may get bombarded with people. The best thing is that you don't have to accept their connection requests if you don't want to talk to them. But you can get kind of people to advise you on the best route for you, or you may already have some people within your own network that you can reach out and ask to. Word of mouth is still a really ideal way to select suppliers you know delivered. and also if they refer to you, you can also trust them. Percentage of turnover is what we tend to advise in budget planning. So this can sell naturally with the business. So typically it's between 5 and 8% of their turnover, which they allocate to marketing activities. However, if you're targeting a new market or you're releasing a new product or service, this tends to be higher just to start and get that initial oomph. And lastly, it does still kind of fall under research, but I'll kind of call this a third tactic, competitor analysis. Again, this is something that you may need some additional support on, but it's a great way to work out what you want to spend. So have a look at what your competitors are doing. Are you looking to match them, or are you looking to increase the activity? Which leads us nicely on to then identifying your needs. So competitor analysis also falls in this part. So again, it's identifying the areas that they're doing. So you can do them, you can differentiate from what they're doing and then really stand out. That's a fantastic way, and it can be a good way to start building out a bit of a roadmap of what you want your marketing activity to look like. Again, touching base with agencies and freelancers, they can help identify what you need to help if you're really, really stuck. A lot of people's agencies and freelancers do suggest anyway, it's more of a consultative approach normally when you reach out. But it depends on kind of what you want to do if you're not sure how to perform a marketing audit or you're feeling a little bit lost. I would recommend seeing who you would like to look like or who you'd want to look better than as a starting point, definitely. And also looking at industry standards. Now, there's some things I would be considering here is looking for white papers and reports on your industry, looking at the growth of your market and market share for businesses, and then kind of filter that all the way down to email benchmarks. This is going to give you a good indication of how saturated your market is and what percentage of sales you need to increase your personal growth. If you couple this with the above actions, you should have a really pretty good overview idea on the tactics that you need to undertake, and then you can use that to help find that partner that you're looking for. So, agency versus freelancers. Always on the mind when looking to outsource, but there's so many kind of different options that you can choose. So this would be my process that I would have. So how much time do I have to invest in this? Do I want multiple agencies or freelancers that I need to manage? Or do I want one company or freelancer to kind of deal with the whole thing? Now, due to my sector, do I need to have a variety of skills available for my business? 9 out of 10 times, the answer is yes. But many businesses may only need someone to write content on an ad hoc basis due to the industry and target audiences. So a freelancer might be a better choice here, or they may just need support on SEO of their website. So again, looking at a freelancer or a specialist agency may be a wiser choice for you. We spoke about being honest with yourself kind of and your business at the early start of it. And here's why it's relevant once again. Why are you outsourcing? Can you really afford to be juggling so many different things at once? Whether that's you or managing your client, not you personally, or kind of managing a freelancer resource, who has the right skills for the job? Can that one person cover it all? Or is there an integrated agency that might be a better choice? Do you need someone that's going to help you scale your business and be able to grow with the business as well? You may need more specialist skill sets and services, and switching freelance provider or agency at this stage may indeed set you back as you're kind of getting people to on board again. All things to consider, but you may be surprised in how there can be a lot of bang for your buck in scaling with an agency that's going to support and grow with you. Definitely. So putting it all together then, going through the processes we've outlined above. I say above, but it's on the screen. I don't know why I think it'd be above my head, but it doesn't matter. So going through that kind of process, you should have built a bit of a mini brief out on where your strengths lies and acknowledge your weaknesses and have a fair idea of where you want to go and why. So with an idea on how outsourcing can save money and enhance budgets by providing you with those data-driven decisions. It should also help you align yourself to other businesses in your sector, which in turn should identify activities you need to be doing in order to effectively brief the freelancers and agencies. But honestly, if in doubt, have a little look around, speak to a few different people, and gauge the feel for what's right for you in your industry, or how to stand out amongst your competitors and really amplify your USPs. You don't need like big budgets, just someone committed to working with you to highlight kind of that, to highlight to the world that you're different and the offering that you have is great. You need somebody that's going to offer you value and can also deliver. Definitely. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, any tip that I can give for pulling it all together. You want bubbly people, just definitely. It's people you enjoy working with as well. So, does anybody have any questions or want to ask me anything about this particular webinar? I just wait. I definitely did turn on Q&A before I started. Fabulous. All right then, I will leave everybody to it. Thank you so much for joining this afternoon. Sorry I was a tad tongue-tied today. Our next session is going to be in 2 weeks, and we're going to be looking at building out and delivering your brand and campaigns scalable with your business. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody.